right, we're going to go ahead and get things at least beginning rolling this morning. I did not want you to watch the video in its entirety because you noticed that the mother in her singing exuberance was not keeping her eyes on the road. So don't want to practice that. We are going to be in here for our last large group session today. And then next week we will only have one worship service at 10:30. And then the next week, September the 13th, we will begin to operate on a 9:30 to 10:15 life group time, and then 10:30 to whenever the preacher's done, kind of getting back to normal. All right? This morning, I will lead us in prayer, and then we're going to take just a small bit of time to jump into what is the lesson inside our curriculum, and then we'll talk a little bit more about life groups. Father, thank you for the joy of being able to be in your house today with your people. Again, we are knowledgeable that there are people around the world that cannot do this without great danger to themselves, or can't do this because they don't know another Christian within their borders. And yet we are able to come in comfort with light and sit down and hear and see. And so we're just grateful to be here. God, I do pray that you would bless our time. For those that cannot be here because of sickness or because of precaution, we ask your favor upon their life. For those, Lord, who are struggling with issues that are unrelated to health, but definitely related to spirit, I ask you to build them up in you and allow you and your presence to be the guiding force of their life. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, I don't want to be accusatory to anybody, but how many of you even are aware that most of our city was without power this morning? Okay, good. The rest of you who were able to sleep in, congratulations. I have no idea what that feels like, but earlier this morning we had some issues of power throughout our city, and I'm grateful that we're able to meet today and have electricity and lights. When you think of investments, most often people will begin to list out things like a car is an investment, and these days it is an investment. Better to buy a car than a house because you can always live in your car, but you cannot drive your house to work. All right? Some people say, well, a home is an investment. You spend most of your life paying for it, and then the rest of your life repairing it. Some people say stock market or retirement. These things are the normal answers that you would get when you talk about investment. But instead of thinking about lifelong important investments as physical acquisitions that are made outside the home, the Bible, and especially the Song of Songs, encourage us to make the most important investment of our life, the relationships inside the home. So you want to think about marriage and family dynamics as your primary priority investment. Now, if I were going to choose to lead a small group session on any book of the Bible, I would probably not pick Song of Songs, and I would probably not pick this passage. But here we are, and that's the whole counsel of God, so we jump right into it. And we see a unique thing happening in the life of King Solomon and his bride. Now, if you recall, last week they were a young couple in love. Hey, you want to go down to the garden and walk with me and talk with me, and we can hold hands and we can talk about relationship. And King Solomon's all like, anytime with you is a good time. I'm all for it. Let's do it. And so here they are, walking through the garden, proclaiming their desire to be lifelong lovers for each other. Now, as the book of Song of Songs progresses, what we witness in this young couple in love is two people who are very attentive to each other's needs And they are very much giving attention to each other's desires. They compliment each other. They lavish upon each other these great words of affirmation. I mean, when you tell someone that their teeth are like the rocks of the Golan Heights, I mean, nothing says romance like that. They brag on each other in public. They long to spend time with each other in private. And before the book is even finished, we find this bride making arrangements so that her busy king can get away from all the encumberments of work and they can just spend time together. They love one another. Now, today's passage begins a little bit differently. Now, this is most likely a dream that takes place in the young maiden's mind, but still it represents the reality of where they are in their married life. She is, at first, indifferent. Now, before the marriage, and as we read about the eve of the wedding, she is anxious, probably not even the best word to use, desiring to be with her man. But as our passage opens up today, she is quite a bit more apathetic. She is tired and already under the covers, and why are you disturbing my sleep? The husband comes to the bedroom door and he wants to spend some time with his bride. But she's saying, hey, look now, the door is locked. I'm not in the mood. She's offering up all these kinds of excuses, and she takes her own sweet time of getting her feet out from under the covers and prancing over to the door. Now, all of this time, her man is persisting. I want to come in and spend some time with you. And the more that he persists, the more she begins to say, hey, this is no longer about you interrupting me. This is about you actually wanting to spend time with me. The husband reaches his hand through the door to try to unlatch it himself. He's trying to get into the bedroom. And the more he persists, the more she begins to change her mood and her mind about him disturbing her. But the problem is her indifference and her slowness to respond. She took way too much time. Look in Song of Songs, chapter 5, verse 6. I opened to my love, but my love had turned and gone away. My heart sank because he had left. I sought him, but did not find him. I called him, but he did not answer. Now, many a wife knows those last two lines very well, right? The guards who go about the city found me. They beat me and wounded me. They took my cloak from me, the guardians of the walls. Young women of Jerusalem, I charge you, if you find my love, tell him that I am lovesick. So there's a lot to get to in these short few verses. Now this young maiden is quite heartbroken. She wants time with her husband now, but she took too long to respond to him, and he has walked away. He's gone, and now she's lonely, and she's worried. She's feeling vulnerable, and she wants to see where he went, what mood he's in, and how come he walked away. There's all kinds of emotional turmoil in her mind. And so there are some lessons that we can learn from this inside the confines of our home and specifically inside the boundaries of marriage. Beware dismissing your mate's needs for love and attention, because you might find yourself regretting later the lack of sensitivity that you had in the moment. Now, this is just a dream. The reason why we know this is because King Solomon's guards would never, ever wound his cherished bride. They knew that death would be the intimate thing. But what she was saying is simply this: without my king there, I am vulnerable and exposed, and I am in danger. She goes about the city, and it is a picture of this physical distance that she and her husband have that has led to this painful emotional distance. If you are married or have been married, then you know that when you are attached to someone that you love, but for some reason something comes between you, that emotional break of that intimate bond is a significant thing. In the moment, she was extremely selfish, and in the moment, the king left perturbed, and now they are separated one from another, and she feels vulnerable and distant, and she is broken emotionally because of it. There's a word for the guys here, too. Remember that your bride finds comfort and security in your presence. Look, I don't know where the king was when his bride was preparing for bed. Maybe he was watching SportsCenter in the other room. I have no idea. But being gone all the time for work or for play or for whatever pleases your mind and attention, be careful. If you want or must be away, take great pains to stay connected during that time, or else the fires and the embers in your mate's heart might grow low to where they're slow to respond to your needs in the moment. Now, there is something that happens here in this lady's dream. She goes about the city and she says to all of her maidens, hey, have you seen my guy? Well, if you do see him, tell him that I'm homesick, I'm lovesick, I want him to get back to where he is supposed to be. So here's a warning for all of you guys. You and I do things differently from your ladies. When we go to the bathroom, we don't announce it. We just go privately, quickly, we return. Ladies go to the bathroom. They send out a message. Who all wants to come? How many can we take? Can 24 go at once? While we're on the way, we're going to discuss everything about life. Here she is, something we need to understand, that many a lady, when they are emotionally distant in marriage, will confide in lady friends about marital woes. Say, well, I don't want everybody knowing my business. Then make sure that you take care of your business at home. Here, the brides ask for her friends to convey a message. She loves him and she wants him back home. Now, the interlude has these women saying to the Shulamite woman, what is it about your guy that's so special? I mean, you're acting like he is the bee's knees. So why is this man privileged and prized? Well, she tells them. Look in verse 10. My love is fit and strong. Ladies, if you're needing to know the right things to say to your man or about your man, this is a list. Start off with, you look like Hulkamania. You are Bam Bam and I am Pebbles. My love is fit and strong. Notable among 10,000. Like if there were every man on the planet standing on stage. I'm talking about Marky Mark is right up there with shirt off. I'm still choosing my man among the thousands. His head is like purest gold. His hair is wavy and black as a raven. His eyes are like doves beside flowing streams, washed in milk and set like jewels. His cheeks are like beds of spice, mounds of perfume. His lips are lilies dripping with flowing myrrh. His arms are rods of gold set with beryl. His body is an ivory panel covered with lapis. I have no idea. His legs are alabaster pillars set on pedestals of pure gold. His presence is like Lebanon, as majestic as the cedars. His mouth is sweetness. He is absolutely desirable. This is my love. This is my friend, young women of Jerusalem. I don't know what Solomon looked like. I can guarantee you he didn't look like this. But this is the way she saw him, and this is the way she spoke of him. Now, at the very end of this passage, there's something for all couples to hear. She says, "This is my love. This is my friend." So there's this personal attachment. Remember last week's lesson? I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. But here is a key to what marriage ought to be like. It's a special fabric woven together by these two essential words: committed love and encouraging friendship. My love and my friend. We are close in every aspect of life. Now, ladies, several notes that I would like to address toward you. Do you hear the way that she speaks about her man? I mean, this is as grandiose of a language as you can possibly get. Now, I want to ask a question. Is this the normal state of most marriages that you hear coming from the lips of women? No, we don't often hear married couples speaking so eloquently about their spouse. Many a lady, to be quite honest, can be heard chirping about her man's inadequacies, failures, or faults. But if you were to go home today and you were to ask your man to describe for him to hear you describe the way you feel about him, it would be crazy different, and he would be crazy different. How many wives are heard using the most vibrant language about their husband? Listen to this word from Proverbs. Every wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. So if you want a love that is extravagant, like found in the Song of Songs, watch your words. Speak highly of your man. If you speak highly of him, I promise you that respect gained through that personal perspective that you offer to others and to him will draw him to you. In the garden, God paraded animal after animal after animal in front of Adam for him to name. Now, when we get to heaven, it'd be great to sit down and say, exactly where did giraffe come from out of your vocabulary? It'd be great to ask, but that was not the point for him to name lion and lioness, deer and deer. It wasn't the point. The point was for Adam to see that in creation, God had made a plan for procreation. And Adam was void of that. Now take note, it wasn't the woman who was void of the man, it was the man who was void of the woman. And God said to the man, it's not good for you to be alone. And he provided Eve for Adam, meaning that it is the man who needs the woman and her constant words of affirmation and encouragement for him to be the man that God's created him to be. So take note and take care of our little couple who found themselves highly in love, but then in the doldrums and the routines of marriage, and they had to reawaken that in order to get back to loving each other the way that they were supposed to. All right, for our life groups, if you are a literature buff Like, you take the curriculum and you read it prior to the Sunday school lesson. You're bringing it with you. You're taking notes on the side. If you want those books, they are located in the church office. We will begin a study of Isaiah starting in September. So you can find them in the church office. Any of those group participant books will work for you because they're all the very same. Our ambition is to open up life groups with 3 couples classes, potentially 3 ladies classes, and 2 men's classes. Now, this is a very fluid situation because we do not know who is going to come and what those groups are going to look like. It could be that we might have 3 groups one Sunday, and then we shrivel it down and have 2 the next. Or it could be we have 3 groups for 3 Sundays, and then on the 4th Sunday we have 5 groups. It is a very fluid ebb and flow situation. So just be aware that next week we will show on the screens, we will present in communication form via email and Facebook the rooms, the leaders that are in there, and where they are going to be meeting, so that when the 2nd Sunday in September comes, you'll know where to go and who is going to be leading out in that area. Once you get into that area, then all of the forms that were filled out are going to be given to those leaders. Here are people who belong in your area, and they have agreed to serve in these areas. So y'all get going, getting that plan. If you did not fill out one of the serving surveys, they are located up here at the front. We need to know where you're going to choose to live your life, because coming to church has never been about attendance. It's always been about activity. Discipleship is not about learning more Bible facts so that you can be an information nerd. Discipleship is about engaging the Bible with other people as you serve together. That's more active than it is static. An active pursuit of God produces discipleship, not just classroom attendance. So here today, I'm going to give you one of the most significant keys to growing life groups. And I've saved it for last because it is essential, but it is also painful. Growing disciples, no matter what aspect of your life, but it also involves life groups. Growing disciples have to learn this lesson. If you're a Marvel geek, then you have already heard this in the Doctor Strange movie, where the significant pause follows this great announcement. It is not about you. The spiritual journey that you're on, where God wants to take you, how He wants to use you, even where you're to go in life groups, can all be helped by you embracing this truth. It's not about me. Some people might say, I don't want to be in the same class as my mom or people my mom's age. Here's a question that I have to follow up with that. Look, I totally get it. I'm not going to share life stories with my dad in the room, because some of those life stories he doesn't know about, and he doesn't need to know about, okay? But the question that we have to ask ourselves is, do you believe that God supplies everything you need for progress and godliness? If you don't know the answer to that question, read the book of Ephesians. You'll get 5 or 6 verses, and the answer will be clear. Yes, God supplies everything you need for your progress and godliness. Did God place you within this family of believers called Calvary? you know that he led you here, then you know that God has supplied everything you need for your progress right here in this body where he placed you. So we might not have enough people in order to satisfy every single niche of society. But here's what we do have. Everything and everyone that God designed and desires to use. So maybe you don't need a tight-knit class of your contemporaries. Maybe you need the voices of those mom-like mentors to speak into your life. And maybe those mom-like mentors need your fresh, new, young, different perspective of the way to go about reaching people for Jesus. So go in and fit. Well, but I like this teacher. It's not about you. Because there are some people who are going to be great leaders, but they can't be great leaders unless they're given the opportunity to lead. And so if you say, there are only 4 people in this class, and it's so difficult, I'm going to go to another class, then you're stealing from someone the opportunity in a small setting to learn the skills of how to lead. It's not about you. Go to where you are supposed to fit, and then figure out from there how God is going to use you. Now, is there grace? Yes. Nobody here is going to be the life group police. We're not going to check your badge at the door, but we're not going to apologize either. If you're not where you're supposed to be, you can't complain that the applications or the fellowships don't meet your life stage. Right? So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to start fresh, organize for growth, life groups that are going to share life together outside of the buildings of this wall, and they are going to progress spiritually as they help disciple one another. That's where we're going with this. But because of the national stage, we have no idea what the baseline is. So we're just starting with this opening saying, here are these available, but you need to know that they are going to be fluid and change. Hopefully we'll settle into a rhythm of ministry, and that rhythm of ministry will present opportunities for natural growth and starting of classes. But for right now, we're just going to do the best we can with what we have. All right? So it is 10:11 by my watch. That gives you plenty of time. Even though some of you are sitting in your Baptist worship seats, you can at least walk around and see what the other pews look like. You can even kick the tires and feel the cushions and see if maybe a different seat might suit you. But you've got plenty of time to fellowship with one another and to gather back for worship in just a little bit.